Hello everyone, and welcome. Just on time. Here comes the train. You might be able to hear that it's raining right now. That's why I'm kind of tucked underneath in the doorway of the shed. If it starts to rain too hard, we may have to move indoors, but I'm hoping we can get everything done out here. If you're wondering why I'm not in the shed, not a whole lot of room. I'll show you in a minute. But I've been playing with my alcohol stove. Trying a few things. You may recall the first stove I made the holes a little bit too big. Then I made another one. The holes are a bit smaller. It's currently living in my cook kit. Then I made this one with the grill on top, and it's stuffed with carbon felt. I wasn't a big fan. Let's wait for the train to stop. Okay, train's gone. Now I tried building another one where I put carbon felt between the two walls here and leaving this part open, hoping that the felt would pull the alcohol into the two walls and activate the jets a lot more. But when I tried it, it seemed to work worse. It wasn't working well at all. Now I was flipping through different videos, different stoves, and I came across a video from Can The Jig Man. It's a 5-year-old video, 5 or 6 years. And he was explaining that he did the same thing. He put felt between the walls and it wasn't working. Then what he did is he took it apart and he cut the felt smaller so that basically the felt was cut too high and it was actually blocking the holes. And I thought, well, geez, I think that's exactly what I did. So he took his and cut the felt smaller and tried it again. Seemed to work. So I want to build one now. I tried to take apart the old one. They're tin cans. I mean, as soon as I tried to pull it apart, I ended up breaking it. Oh well, at least I still have the carbon felt. I cut the carbon felt down a lot thinner, so it should stay to the bottom of the can. Now here's why I'm not sitting in the shed. It's a tiny shed. It's a little bit on the full side. I've got all the tools I need right here beside me. I'm going to move the camera in a little closer to the table and we'll get this started. First things first, we have our 2 cans, we have our marker, and we have our piece of wood. Hold the marker here at the piece of wood and just rotate the can around. And that gives me the mark I need to where I'm going to cut the can. I'm going to mark the other can while I'm at it. Now before I do any can cutting, I got to take out the bottom here. So I've got my knife from work, just a utility knife with a very worn, very ugly blade, but it'll still do the job. What I'm going to do is place the tip of it right here into the curve of the can And then just slowly scar it. I'm not putting a whole ton of pressure, just a little bit. Trying to be careful not to slide. Trying to keep that score in the same place as much as I can. And if I just keep going around in circles, eventually we're gonna bust through. Like so. And once we do, it's just a matter of pushing a little bit on the can. And there we have it. Now we take our marker again, and we'll put a dot here and here. Basically dividing the can in 4. And then I'm going between those marks here, 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 and here. And then I go again between the marks. So one there, one there, one there. And that'll give me 16 holes. Now I grab just a regular handy dandy Dollarama push pin. I used to push these through with my fingers. Gets hard on the fingers. Now I just kind of put it there. Give it a whack with a stick. So now I'm just going to keep going around the can. Poking these holes. And here we go with the last hole. Okay, last hole is done. Time for the next step, cutting the can. I'm going well above my mark. Just cutting a big enough slit into the can. Then I'm going to take my scissors, finish it off. Now I can use this as my garbage. Now I'm going to cut and work my way down to that line. Trying to keep this as straight as I can. That should be good. Let's put this aside for now. Go about cutting can number 2, which is basically the same deal. Now I'm going to straighten out this part of the can. Actually, you know what? No, I'm not. I'm going to find the straight line here. Go down that. until just past the neck, and then I will try and use the neck as a straight edge to go around the can. Now that I've got it opened up, I'm going to take my ruler and the marker, and I'm going to mark out a straight edge as close to the end of this can as I can. Yes, I realize I'm saying can a lot. Alright, so nice straight line. Let's cut that out. Doesn't have to be super perfect, just as straight as you can. Now, you want to measure from the crease in the bottom of the can here up to your side wall. And that's telling me it's 1.25 inches. And I want this to be a little bit taller, so I'm going to go 1.5 inches. So we'll put a mark here at 1.5 inches. Put a mark here at 1.5 inches. If I can get this door out of my way. Nice straight line. Now the reason you want this to be taller than your bottom is so that when the top comes over, you can bring it down low enough to seat it on this. Now we take this ring, put it in the can, and tighten it up until it sits right in that bottom. Once you get it there, take your marker, draw a line on the inside. And then what I do is I go from that edge, I go about 1/4 inch or so, and I just draw a line about halfway down. And then from where this line is, I do the same thing on the outside can, about halfway down. Now I cut this line, the inner line, about halfway, and this outer line goes up about halfway. That way, when I bring the can around, the two grooves should slide into each other. And create our ring. Now in a couple of spots in the bottom, I just cut a small triangle. This one here. I'll make another one here. And another one over here. You could do just two. I just prefer to do 3. You could do 4. Do whatever you like. Now this will sit on the bottom, and those tiny little cuts you just made will allow the alcohol to flow through underneath into between the walls. So now we've got our can cut. We've got the inner wall just a bit above it, about a 1/4 inch or so. Don't need the ruler anymore. Set that aside. Here comes the controversial part. Some guys say do it, some guys say don't. Personally, I like to do it just because it makes things a little easier. You can leave the can whole, and then when you put the other can on top, it's a wrestle to get it in there. But what I like to do is use these pliers, and just to say I put the tip in, I'm not going very far, and I give it a twist, and I give it a twist, and I just keep doing that around the whole can, and it just gives it a little bit of a flare at the top to make it a little easier to squeeze the 2 cans in together. But like I say, some people prefer not to. I think it actually helps to get the can together. Some people worry that it'll obstruct the flow of the alcohol. I've tried it on a couple of stoves so far, and it doesn't seem to hurt anything. At least not to me. You can wrap the felt around. Before putting it in. But now, as you see, the felt is in the bottom of the can, well below where the top is going to end up. Now we take our beautiful little top, and with just a little bit of a twisting motion, they start to fit together. Now I'm gently squeezing this until I see the can is getting very close to the top. And then in order not to damage it too much, I just put my stick on top and give it a little tap. Checking it once in a while, just to make sure the inner wall is seating properly inside the top. Just tapping it lightly. Now I'm feeling the inner wall inside. Everything seems nice and tight. Cute little stove. Felt along the bottom wall. Now, I've got a few of these stoves now, so I'm writing underneath. Like this one here, I'll write felt wall, just to let me know that this is the one that has felt in the wall. And actually I'll write half felt wall. That way I know it's only halfway up the wall. Now, that is complete. Almost. I'm adding to this project. I was chatting with one of my subscribers, Chad, and he gave me an idea on how to make a simmer ring for this, but I need a third can. Basically, I just cut around the bottom, leaving a small tab to use as a handle, and once the stove is burning hot, I can put that over and it'll act like a simmer ring. It'll calm down the flames a little bit. So if I'm making anything with a sauce or anything, or I need to simmer it, it'll knock the flame down and make it a little bit easier. Otherwise, this stove just runs full bore, that's it, that's all. So I figured I'll try making one. Now I know I have to cut around the bottom here, but I have to leave enough tin for a tab. So I'm just making a mark. Let's say we'll do that. Now I cut the can. Same as I did the other two. Get in there with the scissors. So here's where I marked my tab. I'm going to take the scissors and cut down the one side, cut across the top of that tab, down the other side, and I'm basically just cutting right up to this ridge here. Then I'm just kind of following the edge around. Now, as I was cutting around, I kind of cut into that tab just a bit. And if I leave that there, if I pull on it the wrong way, it'll just split right off. So I am going to cut it out. Now I can just fold this tab. Oh, you know what I forgot? I forgot to cut this this part out. Okay, this is going to be tricky. Let's see if we can do it. If we can't, I'll get another can from the house and we'll start over. And there we go. Now I'm just going to take the scissors and clean up this edge here a little bit. We got it done. And now the theory is, once this is lit and blooming, if I put that over top, it'll knock down the flames a little bit and act as a simmer ring. So let me change this setup a little bit and we'll give it a try. I've got the ferro rod from my keychain. With that tiny little scraper. And I've got an ounce of alcohol. Put that in there. We'll light the stove. It's 10 after 2. Don't know if you can see that, but it's definitely lit. Should only take a minute or two for it to bloom. Let me see if I can move you around and close the door a little bit. There. Now you can see the flame. Simmer ring. Oh yeah, that slows it down quite a bit. Okay, I can hear it starting to sputter. It's about to die out. But it's 2:35. That is impressive. Love it. Normally with these stoves, with an ounce of fuel, burning wide open, I get about a 10 to 12 minute burn time. Depending on the weather, how cold it is. Today it's a little cool, it's damp. I was in the shed, protected from the wind, more or less. Took almost 2 minutes to get to a bloom. Once we got the bloom going, I threw that simmer ring on and we burnt for 25 minutes. Yeah, 25 minutes. So, okay, it's a reduced flame, so it's not going to be all that great for boiling. But if I bring something to a boil and then put that simmer ring on, if I would have had that in the last video, I wouldn't have had to use more alcohol to cook my eggs. I'd have been able to cook everything. I'd have put the simmer ring on right after I boiled the water, and I'd have been plenty of fuel to cook up the sausages and the eggs. So I think I'm going to put that into my cook kit. And on our next trip out, we just may have to try that. I mean, the whole alcohol stove journey was meant for boiling my water for coffee in the morning so I don't have to listen to the loud gas stove. The rest of my cooking I usually do over an open fire. But I think we're going to have to play with that a little bit. Maybe try a little bit of cooking once in a while. So a big thank you to Can the Jig Man, or whatever it was. He put out that video 5 years ago and helped me figure out how to fix my stove. And a big thanks to Chad for the simmer ring. Seems to work fantastic. Now I'm going to let this cool down a little more, and I might clean up the jagged edges a little bit. I didn't see the point in bothering until I tried it to make sure it works. But you don't need to see all that. So I want to thank you all for coming along. Always a pleasure having you with me. And if you liked what you saw, go ahead and hit the like button. If you want to see more of it, hit the subscribe button. And if you're going to do that, hit the notification bell. When you do, there'll be a drop-down menu. In that menu, select all, and that should let you know whenever we put out a new video. Thanks for watching. See you on the next one.